Oh my god. This is truly the worst nightmare of an ant keeper. Sunday evening, I went into my ant room to see what ant keepers fear the most. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Messor Barbarus workers were running all over my ant room. Now it's very important to know that the first thing you have to do when you're seeing ants all over the place is finding out where they're coming out from. When I went to look for any holes, I didn't see anything. There were so many workers and it was very hard to see anywhere they came out from. Now this colony have in the past both escaped the nest and the outworld upon both products failing. But I was immediately drawn to the nest as that was where most workers were running around. Now just a note, these ants are Messor Barbarus, meaning they have these massive majors who can bite a little bit. It doesn't hurt that much. But when you have 20, maybe 30 ants biting you all over your body, the pain starts to rise a little. Now I'm really glad I don't have any big stinging species because this hurt a lot, and I mean a lot. So I'm glad that I don't have any stinging species because, well, they are known to hurt a lot more. Within the first minute of me looking at all the ants, I called for my fiancée because I just couldn't see where they were coming out from. As she entered the room, she immediately saw a screw under the outworld, and above the screw, this was where all the ants were coming out from. Now as I started to tape this, my fiancée screamed as she was getting eaten alive. She quickly ran out again. Sadly, I didn't have this luxury. I got my tape and stopped the hole where the ants were escaping from. With the hole stopped, I took a breather and looked around the different ant setups, and I saw something truly horrible. My elevated outworld was now without water in the top, and instead I have used escape prevention so the ants can't escape. Now my biggest fear came alive when I saw 11 workers in the bottom. I quickly got the workers away, evacuating the colony to a safer place. And upon looking inside the colony, they looked alive, but it also looked like a few workers were gone. With my heart in my throat, I looked at the other colonies. No Messor workers inside. No Messor workers inside. No Messor workers inside. Oh no. My heart dropped as I saw hundreds of ants inside the naturalistic formicarium. Oh no. My small Camponotus singularis hadn't even had a chance to defend themselves. With their small worker count, they wouldn't have stood a chance. But on the other hand, I do only see them 3 times a week, so if they were lucky, they may not even have noticed all the ants roaming the outworld. I saw the opportunity, it was now or never to save them. I grabbed a small outworld and started fishing out all the workers. Now I just want to remind you again that these workers were biting me all over. Now I had taken off my shirt because they were biting me from under my shirt and was simply just easier to just push them away like this. I was getting eaten alive, but all I had to think about was getting all the Messor Barbarus workers outside the naturalistic formicarium to hopefully save the Camponotus singularis within the formicarium. For around 20 minutes, I took out as many Messor Barbarus workers as I could and prayed for the colony inside. Looking around, ants were still everywhere, and now I took out my Hoover. Now a Hoover is a small vacuum cleaner that takes the ants into a small chamber, and then I can drop the workers back into the outworld. And just like before, the next 30 minutes was filled with pain and me simply just trying to hoover up as many ants as I could. 1 hour after the breakout. Now looking back at it, it was very stupid of me not to look at the carpet. I have this very dark carpet, and while I was getting eaten alive, I focused on all the ants I could see all over the tables and inside the different formicariums. But to my big surprise, the carpet was alive. Once more, my heart dropped. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of ants were roaming the carpets, and just as many were dead. For the past hour while I was eaten alive, I walked over thousands of ants on the carpet. Now at this stage, I felt horrible. My heart had dropped, I just was emotionless. The surfaces was clear, but now I had to clean the carpets. For the next hour and a half, I did the same again and again and again. looked at the natural formicarium to see if there were any metal workers I could get out, hoovered the floor and the carpets, grabbed any workers I saw walking around the surfaces. 3 hours after the breakout. The room looked clean, but sadly it wasn't. My hoover had at this point eaten the first battery and full swing on the second battery. Sadly, this hoover wasn't meant for such job. It was too cheap, and by now it was very clear it didn't work anymore. Looking around the surfaces, it seemed empty, but my fight wasn't with the surfaces, it was with the carpets, where hundreds of ants were still roaming. But sadly, the deaths were quickly rising and overtaking the live ones. As this carpet wasn't able to be removed, I only had one choice: start using my tweezers instead. Now, for all of you ant lovers out there, please forgive me. 4 hours after the breakout. Without any real ways of cleaning up the ants and me manually taking every single ant up, I started losing hope. This was the 4th hour of me just going around saving ants, and there were just deaths everywhere. I'm not proud of this, ant keeping fans. All the surfaces was clean, the floor was clean, but the carpet wasn't. With an empty feeling, I grabbed my vacuum cleaner. This felt so horrible and I was left heartbroken. I kept asking myself, what has caused this? How many colonies were attacked? So many questions. Now upon hour 4, my fiance asked how the Camponotus herculinus were doing, and I got hit with a horrible feeling. I had looked at all of the setups, but I completely forgot that the Camponotus herculinus was living in a DIY outworld where the ants could just walk in. I took the lid off and saw 3 dead workers, 2 Camponotus herculinus workers and 1 dead Messor Barbarus worker. The colony had fought and they had survived. Good thing the Messors didn't go all in on this colony. 1 day after the breakout. Now, the next day I kept looking around. I saw hundreds of ants and I was a little bit worried that they may still be able to escape. But on the other hand, all the workers that had been all over my room were now coming home and I could simply get them back inside. But I was a little bit concerned that maybe the breakout wasn't over. Upon hydrating the Ada Mexicana, I saw another 30 workers living inside the hydration chamber. They had bitten into the gypsum, but luckily they hadn't made it through. That definitely wouldn't have been fun. They had come in under the lid as I hadn't put it on too tight, but good thing I had to hydrate them, because who knows what had happened if they had gotten into the leaf cutters. As days went by, I still saw many workers and simply returned them. But I felt there were too many. I decided I just didn't trust the outworld and the quick tape fix. I bought a cheap plastic box and used that as an outworld instead. Now sadly my GoPro didn't work, but I made a TikTok stream and this little clip shows how my buddy and member Casper, who actually chose this week's member lamp color, thank you Casper, it's yellow, we manually moved all of the ants from the old outworld into the new outworld. Now this took around 40 minutes and it actually went a lot faster than I initially expected. Today, 2 weeks after the incident, I don't see any more workers. The colony seems to be recovering, but the big question is still, what happened? When my fiance first pointed out the screw and the hole next to it, I was very confused. Did it just pop out? Did it break? Well, when I looked inside the outworld, the answer got revealed. And this little mount that keeps the floor and the wall together had broken? How did this happen? I don't know, but upon looking at the other mounts, 6 out of the 8 had cracked. Definitely a good thing I got the ants out of that. It seemed it had cracked under its own weight. Very strange. Now, it is important to note that the ants actually escaped this outworld in the past. A few months ago, the space between the floor and the walls had warped so badly that small workers were able to escape. Now, back then I decided to simply use some tape to fix the problem temporarily. Back when this problem happened, I made sure to talk with the company behind the outworld and we agreed that all future outworlds would be fitted with more supports to help carry the outworld's own weight. Now this was a very mature conversation and I felt it was a good addition for the outworld. Now why didn't I get this version? Well, I got offered one, but I was simply looking for getting a bigger outworld. but time wasn't in my favor and I down prioritized getting a new Outworld, as in my eyes this Outworld would work just fine as the ants couldn't escape anymore. This, however, were famous last words. Now, I'm a creator who always wants to share my ants, whether they do good or bad. So when I made the video of the ants escaping, of course it got a lot of interest in what happened. Now, I didn't imagine the pure hatefulness in the comments coming from the fans of the company, saying it's my fault that I'm the reason they broke out. In this small hobby, I felt very ashamed that people would be so aggressive towards me. Think if young kids are buying these products and getting these failures. If you don't share it, it won't be fixed. No doubts these haters will also make an appearance in the comment section of this video, which I simply just don't understand. Products doesn't improve unless there's feedback. Now, since the accident, the company behind the Outworld has made a response to the disaster, and let me just read it out loud. Morning. This is a quick reminder about our large and extra large Outworlds. This version, the current version, was released 5 months ago in November. It has support on the base and on its sides. It features dual lids with a nice large rim for your escape fluid. It is also glued, and we've shipped 18 of these Outworlds combined and had no issues reported. A few had even gone into laboratories for various research projects. We were notified yesterday that a customer had filmed a failure of the original design of our extra large enclosure, with the ants escaping over the last few weeks. We were contacted by the customer back in November when the first small failure occurred. After apologizing, we completely admitted the fault and the Outworld should have been glued, and it wasn't. We immediately briefed up the design with an additional supports and mandatory glue. The new Outworld was offered to the customer, but they chose a refund, which we immediately provided. We're not sure why the Outworld was still in use given its original failure all those months ago. It's a bit like buying a car, having the brakes fail, receiving a refund, carrying on driving and wonder why you crashed into a wall. Let me say that again. It's like buying a car, having the brakes fail, receiving a refund and carrying on driving and wondering why you crashed into a wall. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I was very impressed by the maturity of the company when I had my big escape all those months ago, but that may just have been because I kept it quiet and didn't record the big escape. Now, I wasn't gonna blame the company because I did get a refund and it was my responsibility to get a new Outworld. But my Outworld was made by High-Tech Ants, an ant company that have sold Nest for at least 2.5 years. I'd suspect that a small problem simply fixed by tape wouldn't lead to a massive breakout, but as I learned, the fundamental design never stood a chance. So let me say this again. It's a bit like buying a broken car, having the brakes fail, receive a refund, carrying on driving and wonder why the car exploded, leading to multiple deaths with no warning. Yeah, that's better. Saying that, I am glad the problem was fixed, but that has been it for this video. Now, I would just like to say that a company that goes out publicly calling its customers stupid is a company that I'd personally never recommend. But yeah, that has been it for this video. Let's just get the members up. A big thank you to our 4 family members. Medical Carcase number 9, Ants Norway, Victor D, and Ryan from the YouTube channel Antscapes. And of course, also a big thank you to all the other members. Truly from my heart, thank you. But with that being said, that has been it for this video. Have you ever experienced a big escape? Are you prepared if a big escape happens? Or are you simply afraid of them and decide not to think about them? Let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, Holleuffers, that has been it for this video. Once again, thank you to all the members. And yeah, thank you for watching it to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Become a member today if you like. And I will see you all in another video. Bye!